Hello friends, good morning everyone. We are here to begin this great lesson. Together we all gathered in complete helmet to raise the importance of the Creator. It's very important for us because we are building this cell of Adam, and I just came back from the incredible congress we had in Israel. I felt the love of the friends. Fern, the love that they daily keep and guard for us there. They're every day in the lessons for all the world clean. So friends, let's go into this great lesson. I'm going to take all the memories with me and all the words I've said to friends simply to begin complete annulment and raise the importance of the Creator rights. We gather here to establish a society where each of us follows the spirit of bestowing upon the Creator, and to achieve bestowal upon the Creator we must begin with bestow upon men, which is called love of others, and love of others can only be through revoking of one's self. Thus, on the one hand, each person should feel lowly, and on the other hand we be proud that the Creator has given us the chance to be in a society where each of us has but a single goal for the to be. Us gather here to establish a society where each of us follows the spirit of bestowing upon the Creator, and to achieve bestow upon the Creator we must begin with bestow upon man, which is called love of others, and love of others can only be through revoking of oneself. Thus, on the one hand, each person should feel lowly, and on the other hand be proud that the Creator has given us the chance to be in a society where each of us has but a single goal for the to be among us active works. Why, in order to bestow to the Creator, do we need to begin with bestowing to the friends again? Why, in order to bestow to the Creator, do we need to begin with bestowing to the friends active workshop? Repeat. That's what the Creator wants. He doesn't need anything from us, brought us to this world so that we develop this attitude of love and concern, bestow to each other, and that will bring Him contentment. The Creator wants to reveal Himself to the created beings. He wants the best possible for us, which is to be in adhesion with Him, so to bestow to the friends, to love the friends, to pray to the Creator, to give the forces for that. That's the way to reach equivalence of form in the connection between us. This is the path of the method to achieve equivalence of form, written for thousands of years by all the great Kabbalists throughout the generations, and only in this way are from love of the created beings to the love of the Creator. I don't know exactly why, but this is just something that is necessary. Have this north scent that we need to reach to feel the Creator. We don't know how, so we've been given this means, which is the closest one possible, which is the friends, where through the relationship with the friends, our attitude to them, through love your friend as yourself, through that act we can come closer to the Creator. That's what Kabbalists dictated to us. That's how we open our hearts and do that. We get examples from the friends, and we're friends because of the same goal. We want to rise above our will to receive. We want it to serve the quality of bestow, and not the other way around. Good example on the way. Here our dear all prepares us on the way. He wakes up early, and you can hear in his voice how happy he is that we're going to hang our will to receive and use it for love and bestow. Thank you all. Yes, thanks, and to all the friends who gather the preparation to the preparation. It very much helps whoever's on the path, and whoever comes here bestowing to the Creator means it's our first meeting with who's called others and friends. That is the closest circle, the first unit, where there we all, I don't know whether it was yesterday or 2 days ago, when they said it's some excerpt where who chose my 10, 2 and Latin 8 are happy to be together and participate in preparing this wonderful lesson, and we truly want to incorporate with the society. We want to achieve love of friends in order to reach love of their Creator, and what we truly want to do is to continue the work in the lessons, the work of connection. We have the text from Bassam, Rash, and so we make the effort to follow their advice. We want, because we want to serve the friends, serve their society, and work more and more to achieve bestow upon the friends, and thus bestow to the Creator, and the import that we have now, that we came back to our tens all of friends, each one returns to his ten, so important to come back to that place that is called the ten. The whole world CLE now is in this same process which builds the preparation for us to be together with a huge love, and we have great joy and will succeed. Friends go ahead in if their intention is to bring contentment to the Creator, then if they want to increase the work, they must increase the greatness of the Creator, since to the extent of his greatness, to that extent they can annul before him, and do everything they do only for the sake of the Creator. It is as the Zoe says about the verse, her husband is now one at the gates, each according to what he assumes in his heart. Therefore, in order to have fuel for work, those who want to work for the sake of the Creator must try each day to exert to obtain faith in the greatness of the Creator, since the greatness of the Creator is what compels them to work for him, and this is all the pleasure they derive from their work. Again, if their intention is to bring contentment to the Creator, then if they want to increase the work, they must increase the greatness of the Creator, since to the extent of his greatness, to that extent they can annul before him, and do everything they do only for the sake of their Creator. It is as the Zoe says about the verse, her husband is known at the gates, each according to what he assumes in his heart. Therefore, in order to have fuel to work, those who want to work for the sake of their Creator must try each day to exert to obtain faith in the greatness of the Creator, since the greatness of the Creator is what compels them to work for him, and this is all the pleasure they derive from their work. Let's and all ourselves towards the ten, and be proud that the Creator gave us the opportunity to enter this society. Again, let's annul ourselves towards the ten, and be proud that the Creator gave us the opportunity to enter this society. Silent works for active work share with a ten the feeling of honour and pride of being in the Ben group and bringing contentment to the Creator. Again, share with the ten the feeling of honour and pride of being in the B group and bringing contentment to the Creator. Active work. I'm in great gratitude that the Creator put us together and gave us an opportunity in this life to be above everything that everyone engages in this world, all these lowly things, that there's no purpose to them, and we have the opportunity to be among friends whom I appreciate most in the world by far. Doesn't matter whatever ups and downs between us, I appreciate you the most in the world because you have the loftiest goal, the goal of life, and there's nothing similar to that. Okay. Yes, and it's great pride to be part of this of this society, because there's no other attainment that a person can be proud of in this world other than that in which his life will not be that he'll have some kind of goal, some target, some importance, and that's importance that I feel thanks to you, the fact that we were chosen for this role. It's not just pride, it's responsibility towards the friends in the ten and the friends in the world, and also all of humanity, because we have the opportunity to do this work now, and that's in order to help everyone go through the same path. There are no other people in the world who I would wish to be with every day and together to develop to the purpose of creation, to purpose of life. There's no one else I'm interested in talking to, listening to, that I'm interested in bestowing to be on this whole path with that other than the ten. They are the society. It's really this great fortune that we have this among this other empty life to be able to attain the loftiest goal of life with every sound of hearing the friends in the tea. It's really joyful to hear, like you said. I don't know how to repeat it. It's just that we are engaging here in something that is so lofty and so huge that the truthful method is not simple as it is, because it is truth. There's nothing higher than the original, authentic method of Israel, not all the kinds of falsehoods that's followed, and that is truly the path of bestowing. Hello, we're reading in the book The Writings of B, the introduction to the study of the 10. We have reached item number 15. You can find the study material for the lesson owner and also on the AR system. Likewise, you can ask questions through those platforms here in the study hall. Anyone who wants to ask a question is requested to stand up, hold the mic close to the mouth and speak loudly and clearly. Introduction to the study of the 10. Item 15 from the writings of Balaam in the Hebrew version, that's page 773. Balaam writes thus: it has been thoroughly clarified that one should not expect that engagement in Torah and Ish will bring him to Lishmer, except when one knows in one's heart that he has been granted faith in the Creator and in his Torah. Appropriately, this is because then the light in it reforms him, and he will be rewarded with the day of the Lord, which is all light. For the holiness of faith purifies one's eyes to enjoy his light until the light in the Torah reforms him. Yet those without faith are again yet those without faith are as bats. They cannot look at the light of day because the daylight has been inverted for them to a more terrible darkness than the darkness of the light night, and they are only fed in the darkness of the night. Likewise, the eyes of the faithless are blinded to the light of the Creator, hence the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life is turned into a potion of death for them. It is about them that the writing says, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do ye need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Thus first one must make one's faith complete. Short questions. What again? Item 15. Thus it has been thoroughly clarified that one should not expect at engagement in Torah and will bring him to accept when one knows in one's heart that he has been granted faith in the Creator and in his Torah. Appropriately, this is because then the light in it reforms him, and he will be rewarded with the day of the Lord, which is all light. For the holiness of faith purifies one's eyes to enjoy his light until the light in the Torah reforms him. Those without faith are as bats. They cannot look at the light of day because the daylight has been inverted for them to a more terrible darkness than the darkness of the night, as they are only fed in the darkness of the night. Likewise, the eyes of the faithless are blinded to the light of the Creator. Hence the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life is turned into a potion of death for them. It is about them that the writing says, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Thus one must make one's faith complete. Questions. Yes. Hear that the person that one should not expect that engagement in Torah and Mishma will bring him to Lishmer, except when one knows in one's heart that he has been granted faith in the Creator and in his Torah. Appropriately, why does he write here that the person should not expect that engagement in Torah will bring him to? Because we always talk about that in which we do need to yearn and want to attain the light. But here he says you should not expect that would happen. A person who truly wants to achieve faith in the Creator does expect the upper light, the light of the Creator, to influence him, and he will be awarded with spiritual outcomes, with light influencing him and shaping his attitude to corporality and spirituality to the state that he's in. So we do need to expect that engaging in what we do in Ma will bring us to Lishmer. We have to be in such a state where our engagement in brings us to LMA. Yeah, what is this process of purifying the eyes? During the whole process of correction, we talk about the purifying of the eyes. What is that? That a person sees in what state he discovers the reality before him, either in darkness or in light. The difference between that is the whole difference between corporality and spirituality, and that's why Bassam pays so much attention to explain that to us, so that we don't just study it like some knowledge from science, rather that will feel it, that will clarify exactly where does it happen within us, how can we change, and by what do we merit opening the eyes in the Torah. Does this purification take place one time, or is it a process where person gets more and more patient until he gets to high degrees of faith in small portions. More he gives a condition here and says that the person should know in his soul that he has been awarded with faith in the Creator and in his Torah appropriately, and when a person checks himself he always reveals that he has not been awarded yet. Yeah, and he gets more distance getting closer. So what do we do? We pray, we ask at a certain point with a person, feel that he'll know in his heart that he's been granted faith in the Creator. Yes, is that an individual state of a personal state of the person, and until a person feels that the light doesn't work on him, the light works all the time, just depends on what pace, what shape, what direction. Other than prayer, is there any way of can speed up this process, as we learn only actions of bestow to work on all of humanity to bring them closer to the Creator? Yesterday we in the 10 discussed this item for a long time, and this question came from the 10th: how before receiving the light of faith are we in darkness? How do we work in practice during the darkness? We have to check and understand and feel in what state towards the Creator, towards the upper light are we in, and accordingly to work. So when we start working, it's clear to us that we have no connection with the Creator, with the upper light, the upper degrees, but we just have to follow what is written and continue that way. And what holds the person in the state of darkness, what holds the person is that his desire which the Creator awakens, the desire that pushes him to revelation. Does the 10 have a role here? When the person's in a state of darkness, certainly the 10 around each and every person has to be like some safety circle. Please seems as if only when a person has faith in the Creator then the reforming light comes to reforming that we're going to have to learn soon. How do we have faith without the light? You cannot be in contact with faith without attaining the light. It's impossible, meaning first of all we don't feel where we are with respect to the Creator. We don't feel where it's when it's more and when it's less, and whether the light of faith shines in us or something else. These things are still abstruse. So what we have to do is to understand, like he writes here, where is that then the light in it reforms, and one will merit the light of day, which is all light, because the light of faith purifies the person's eyes so they can enjoy the light of the Creator until the light of the Torah reforms him, meaning that is his state. Yet those without faith, meaning if he didn't acquire it first, then basically he has nothing to continue with. They are as bats, they cannot look at the light of day because the daylight has been inverted for them to a more terrible darkness than the darkness of the night, as they are only fed in the darkness of the night. Likewise the eyes of the faithless are blinded by the light of the Creator, hence the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life is turned into a potion of death for them. It is about them that the writing says, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Thus first one must make one's faith complete, meaning when a person when the Creator shines on a person who wants to advance in the darkness, he awakens the person by changing his direction of development and his means for development, and then a person begins to relate differently to the forces that shape his path. One, what condition does the reforming light shine to a person? The condition that a person really wants to attain the light that reforms, meaning to attain the light of faith. What faith is demanded of a person in order to attain the light that reforms? What previous faith does a person require in order to attain in the light that reforms? Faith in the Creator, that the Creator exists as good, that does good, and he treats the person's desire and gives man's desire all kinds of means so that one will change the desire and get closer to the Creator. That's how he gives the person a possibility, an opportunity. And when a person is rewarded with faith as a result of the reforming light, how is that different to the previous faith that he had? What previous faith did he have in order to be rewarded with the reforming light. You said now that the person needs to have faith in the Creator, yes, and then he gets the light, and then he's rewarded with the faith in it. So what's the difference between the faith before the light and faith after the light? No, you can't call that faith. So what is that faith before is rewarded with the light? It's an illumination, a small illumination that shines on the person, and then he somehow navigates in his unclear path. For now, how does the person attract that illumination? What's on the person's behalf? From man's perspective, it's the desire. From the Creator's perspective, it's the light, and both man and the Creator have to work on shaping man in a certain way, safe way, towards the light, the Creator, and be able to advance himself to that light more and more. And what is the faith in the Creator that the person's rewarded with? Faith in the Creator that a person acquires is a force that he receives from the Creator, which ties him to the same path. And how advances? There is such a quote, can't remember that can all right. Yes, he cautions the person so that the light won't turn into a potion of death. What does a person need to be cautious of here? Because it's not clear, because the Creator is acting here. It depends on the Creator and the person, but the person determines, does he want to receive this help, these discernments from the Creator or not? Which is that first faith, that base, that foundational faith that Duddy was trying to scrutinize. I don't know, you're relying on what Duddy earlier wanted to scrutinize. That's what I heard, that this cautiousness is not how does a person careful from that in which the light turns into a potion of death for him, that it as if kills him, and then he needs to awaken. Potion of death again. Okay, we'll talk about this more later on. So in the study, now how should we progress? I'm afraid to continue reading. I want to be in the correct place in the correct study. Here there is a very strict caution. If I would have it my way, I would just sit for 2 hours just trying to reach the correct form, to reach faith, to have some kind of connection, some kind of certainty that I'm going in the correct direction, and not that I'll be causing harm to myself. So what now do I and do we have to stand in place and look for how to increase the light of faith? How do we do that? How to do it by the light that reforms. She's going to talk about it in a few lines. Yes, each day where we come to the study is if this workshop, and we ask ourselves, what do we want to attain through the study? And usually with the old intellect, a person wants knowledge, he doesn't want faith. He gives effort, he expects some reward for his efforts, and here we need to exert and demand something within us to change. That this old intellect that wants reward for action will become a need, and this is this new operative system that comes into us that wants bestow. How do we get rid of that old intellect? So it's not always trying to get things as usual. Something we don't want loses importance and gets thrown out of us. Seems that we need to work in such a way where you exert when you don't expect reward for yourself. Know the labor you have to put in, and you also have to receive the reward. How do you depict that reward? Where I expect to receive it, so that it won't bring me back to this lishma that makes calculations with what will I get from that in every motion. I don't really think this is the problem. It's a very narrow, egoistic problem. What we do need is to bring ourselves to a clearer feeling and understanding that other than the light that reformed, we don't need to think only the light that reforms that we must have, and to that we should always yearn for. In a few places it's written, until he be rewarded, until he be rewarded. That word pressures because it gives this feeling that on your behalf you do all the exertion you can possibly do and nothing will happen. That's true because a person has a hard time not getting confused with the need to be in faith and to study in faith, and thus check with respect to the light of faith. What does he have in terms of reason? How can he be nourished by darkness or light? But we'll discuss that over a few pages that are in front of us. Continuing trying to scrutinize this matter of faith that seems as if there's this lack of clarity in terms of the terminology with this term. Yes, faith is not clear to us. It's also we don't understand what Daddy tried scrutinizing in relation to faith. Earlier, faith is as if this force, like you say, it's a force of bestow, which is spirituality, as it is written in item 15, in the Creator and the Torah, appropriately, because then through the light that reforms him he'll be rewarded with the day of the Lord, for the of faith purifies one's eyes to enjoy his light until the light in the Torah reforms him. That it's this, a holy faith thing, the faith, and then the light comes into the picture here. Yes, now in order to be rewarded with coming to this state, the person needs to become complemented with complete faith. It's still not complete faith, no complete faith. So soon we're going to also learn that we need to strengthen in faith in the Creator. So faith is the basis to reach at in which the light will influence you. What is this faith? This simple faith that we need to complement. Where we're not talking about the faith that's holy faith over there, but this faith that needs to be complemented with. It's a force that works on the person's will to receive and gives the will to receive an opportunity to get closer to the desire to bestow, and to the extent that it enters the desire to bestow, the light of thee shines and reforms him. He writes that light in the Torah doesn't illuminate, but to one who has faith. So only when I have faith and the light comes to what is the faith I need to have in order for the light to illuminate upon me. What kind of faith is that? It's that you can do some actions that are that provide you with the possibility to be in contact with the Creator's actions and receive from them the light. The reforms. What actions? Exactly actions that's clear to us as actions of bestow, meaning our work in the love of friends at its core. That's what builds this ability. Again, the work in love of friends. To each, those are the actions of bestow that you're talking about. What are those actions exactly? The light in the Torah only illuminates to one's faith, and then we need to have complete faith in order to be awarded the light that reforms. He also gives an example of complete faith, that you need to have faith in that upon all one's acquisition. So what is that complete faith through which we can acquire the life that reforms? A special connection with the Creator. That person is with him openly and wants to draw from the Creator all of the light that reforms, that exists only in the Creator and in by no means in the person until he is reformed. If he doesn't, then he could be thrown back to previous states. So there's a certain contact with the Creator that, as you said, now, but a person who enters the path still has not no such contact. So how does the reforming life illuminate upon him if he doesn't have that contact with the Creator? It shines on him in some other forms, not directly, not under the screen. Is that called that the light that reforms shines upon him? So the light still shines in Lishma before is rewarded with faith. So he says here that the size of this light is according to the validity of his faith, is what he has acquired so far. So that's an cumulative process. Yes, doesn't depend on a person. How urgent of demanding is he for it? Where's the light, this light that reforms? Where is it, so that the person will know how to aim toward it correctly? The Creator, that's clear, but a person who gets into it. Now, what is this intellectual or action in the heart that a person needs to do so that he comes to faith and draws the reforming light maximally with its full potential? What does a person need to do? That is what he needs to do. He has to rise to such a degree, to such a state with the Creator that he demands him to receive the light that performs. I'm asking practically, let's say how the lesson operates with have this time in the lesson in which we can draw the reforming light. We have no way of measuring whether we worked correctly or not, or I mistaken. You can't measure, we can't measure. So how in these holy 2.5 hours that we are together, where I can say that I did everything I could possibly do to correctly draw the reforming light. So we talked about it and studied it and read about it that we want to be connected with all the friends together and with everyone to long to reach the next states of our development. That this is why we're getting close to each other as one man in one heart, one desire, and we raise all our desires to the Creator with the quality of the request. And when a person is in this inner thought and action, that is the work here, but we always have to be in that thought. It's not that when we'll be in it. Yes, the question is in addition to the thought about the friends, the connection of adhering to the Creator. Do we also need to think specifically about the light, that the light will come and will reform us? Where is that light? Yes, so we also need to think about that. Thank you continuing that what is this change of my attitude to the force I receive from the Creator, changing the attitude, yet that your attitude is changing. How you said earlier that I cannot check myself in faith, it's impossible to check myself, so how do I check really that my attitude is correct to everything that I read from the Creator? Just like He writes, we need to try to understand Him. Accordingly is the connection between us in the 10, the one place where I can measure correctly whether my connection with the Creator, what I receive from the Creator. Yes, can many times I find myself sitting and I'm enjoying a lot, and it seems as if I understand everything, and it feels as if I'm aimed before you. What do I lack in that state where I'm not finding what I lack? In order to enter more deeply, you don't find connection with what you're engaged with right now, what awakens in you and what state you wish to reach. Yeah, I didn't understand when you hear a certain question, do you identify with it or not? Yes, and it feels as if I understand it, and that I'm inside that question. So, what's the question? What else do I lack? That feeling where I just enter and I am there and keep going for now, and I'm aimed before you, and I don't have work within myself. So you should continue in what? Continue to search as you do now. Continue searching these definitions that come from Kabbalah, and where they are, where is the light that reforms, where is the force of the CLE, and so forth. Do I need to as if try to exit your screen? Mine, yeah, that feeling where as if I'm in that no, that's not good. That's not good that you have something like that comes up in you that you're in my screen. Does it just appear to me to be that way? It seems to you, and it's incorrect. Oh no. Item 14 Ban talks about the matter of complete faith, and he connects it to the time of student invests in the Torah and the light of the Torah, and he says is that measurement this matter of time, because that's something you can measure. It's something simple. No, we can't measure according to that. What is the state of my faith today? Meaning there's a friend who comes to the lesson, goes home, and let's say he forgets about the work until the lesson the next day, and there's a student who comes to the lesson, and during the whole day he listens to the lessons again and does all kinds of actions, and there is no difference, or you cannot measure the difference between them. I don't know if there is or not. I don't know exactly how you measure that. Okay, so what can there be? What would give us some better direction to progress in this work? Maybe we'll find here how we get closer to the Creator, how we check ourselves, and where is this whole mechanism in front of us? How do we get in contact with it? How do we work with it? Yes, just the point, and in a few words, I'll try in a few words. A person comes to the lesson, gets some influence from the sour through the friends, he exits and goes out to the world that WS him, and then all of a sudden he comes to the afternoon lesson in Zoom, and then he thinks again about the FR. These thoughts, that these beastly thoughts that come from the world, is that the influence of the reforming light? I don't know. You should ask and understand from the Creator's answers. What does it mean? The light that reforms. I feel a force that returns me to the source. So again, I'm having all kinds of thoughts and actions that I need to do. I have a response to be endless. This is a process that brings a person, as is written, complete faith, the day of the Lord. Gradually, one drop at a time, and get to know we're not talking about her development in such a way that's how they're writing there. They're right. Okay, so there's no other influence. Morning lessons, Zoom. Yes, afternoon lesson, evening lesson. These thoughts that suddenly come to me, where I'm just a beast which is. Or are these thoughts that come from the fact that we get this influence from the lesson? The thoughts are outcomes of influences from above. Okay, that's it. So what are we doing? 16. Item 16. This answers yet another question in the 2 foot. We say there anyone who practices Tura Lishma, his Tura becomes to him a portion of life, and anyone who practices Tura Lishma, his Tura becomes to him a portion of death. They asked, yet we said one should always engage in the Tura, even if since from her he will come to Lishma according to the explained above. We should divide it. Simply one who engages in Tura for the mitzvah of learning Torah and believes in reward and punishment, but associating self-pleasure and benefit with the intention to bring contentment to his Maker. The light in it will reform him, and he will achieve Lishma. And one who learns Torah not for the mitzvah of learning Torah, since he does not believe in reward and punish to the extent that he should labor so much for that, but exerts only for his own pleasure, becomes a potion of death for him, since for him the light in it is turned to darkness. So he corrected it here simply. The approach divided it to 2. The person who receives the light and begins to work with T, and according to how the light that shines on him, or he receives the light and doesn't pay so much attention that in his hands he has the device that can turn him around from one end of the creation to the other. Questions. It seems as if we're not just in this lesson, but for a whole long period in this place of faith. And here he is giving it to us in this simple way. I want to continue this simple way. I'll ask him. Maybe you can see if you want to answer me. I certainly don't want to answer. I wanted to ask the Creator who we say is good, that does good, and the Torah that he spoke about, and reward and punishment. He divided faith into 3 things that a person needs to strengthen in faith in the Creator, faith in the Torah, and faith in reward and punishment. And these 3 things the person before the study does he need to organize them in himself. When he starts studying, how will he arrange it if he doesn't know them? But here too there's a rooster and there's a bat according to a person's intention. Either a person aims for his self-leisure and he wants to exit that into a new intention, and they say that whoever didn't bless the Torah in the beginning, if he didn't approach the Torah in order to correct oneself, so then he doesn't take the medicine that he doesn't need. It's a potion of death for him. It's all true. So when I say that the Torah that the person aims himself with to is some kind of calibration that a person exerts to calibrate oneself towards in order to receive the light through the study, how will he calibrate himself through the environment? How will he change himself? How will he turn himself around? So what depends on the student. The student comes, he has a will to receive, an ego that draws only into itself. Now he comes with his ego to the study with the will to receive right. He wants to make one step forward. What depends on him? It depends on him probably to be responsible for what kind of Torah he receives from above. Does it change him in the right direction or in the wrong direction? And if he wants to change in the correct direction, should he make an effort? Whose Torah is he studying? What does he want from it? Where does he want to reach? It seems so. One okay. One said we can understand what the reforming light is and whether we attract it correctly from we'll go to someone else because Vlad got cut off. Now we hear Vlad, yes, go ahead. She said that from the response of the Creator it's possible to understand what the reforming light is and whether we draw it in a correct way. The question is, how can we understand it from the response of the Creator? The light that reforms is in fact the same upper force that comes from the Creator. Where I want to change within me the attitude, the direction to where I am and where I aimed, at where I'm aimed, at with respect to the Creator. Therefore it's very important to me where I am. So he says here that there's still this matter of faith. However, those who lack faith are like bats who can't see the light of day because it turns to darkness. For them a darkness horrible than the night, because they are used to the night. And so those who lack faith, their eyes are blinded by the light of the Creator, and the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life becomes potion of death. And about them this the verse said, those who crave the day of the Lord. And why do you need that? It's darkness and not light. But first you need to complete yourself with complete faith. So it puts a new condition now, which is that we have to achieve complete faith. Okay, all friends yearn for the light. Come to the lessons. Participate, do the work. On the one hand, we yearn for the light. On the other hand, it's understood that person's an egoist. I want to enjoy. So does that mean that I should not yearn for the light, but I should yearn differently, because for me, it's darkness. Now you're beginning to understand in what state you are. Here you read in the excerpt that I should as if not yearn for the light, but I should yearn for faith. What does it mean to yearn for faith and not to yearn for light? That's completely separate thing. What should I? Why? For in any case, calm down and from expressing yourself now. That's not going to give anything. The issue is that person has the opportunity to achieve the quality of faith, and to each time to draw upon himself this quality of faith, which will give him a sense of getting closer to the Creator. But if he doesn't have the awareness that he lacks faith, as it writes, from the lack of faith their eyes are blinded towards the light of the Creator, and so the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life becomes potion of death. And it was said about them, those who crave the day of their Lord. Why do they crave it? It is darkness and not light, meaning they're not on the same track. They don't understand it exactly, but they're not getting closer, meaning first we have to acquire the light of faith, and in the light of faith we can begin to discern where we exist in a path that leads towards the Creator, or that comes from the Creator. That's it, and this is really all the whole question there is here in this place. What obvious? There's one thing a person wants to feel what is written here and to observe it. On the other hand, he's in the group, and you feel that you need the whole group to be in that state, because it's all seemingly a part of you. Yes, I now do not know how to progress in the lesson. How did you advance before I came here? I had a guidance from a sister who said that until you come to a complete faith in that kind of connection with the Creator. So if you leap over that, so then you're in a state that SH is forbidden for you to be in. There's something to that. Yeah, and I need everyone in that. Now I'm in a state where I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I see that it's not heading anywhere. You cannot cover everything. So how is it possible to even study now before we reach complete faith? The feeling that the Creator gives you, that state that heal you will receive His medicine correctly. But you have a test in your hand. I have it in my hand, but I feel that I haven't reached that. I feel I'm not in that state yet. Yes, now we read this excerpt after the previous excerpt, and I cannot even listen to it. So item 15 we'll read again. Yeah, if it starts acting on me, then I feel that I have lost the importance for what he said. Therefore that, because the importance of what he said before that is very painful, and it dwells within me, and I cannot progress beyond that. Thus it has been thoroughly clarified that one should not expect that the engagement in will bring him to LMA, except when one knows in one's heart that he has been granted faith in the Creator and in his to appropriately. This is because then the light in it reforms him, and he will be rewarded with the day of the Lord, which is all light. For the accuser of faith purifies one's eyes to enjoy his light, until the light in the tar reforms him. Yet those without faith, yet those without faith are as bats. They cannot look at the light of day because the daylight has been inverted for them to a more terrible darkness than the darkness of the night, as they are only fed in the darkness of the night. Likewise the eyes of the faithless are blinded to the light of the Creator. Hence the light becomes darkness for them, and the portion of life is turned into a portion of death for them. It is about them that the writing says, Woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness, and not light. Thus, first one must make one's faith complete. That's the whole thing. If we have complete faith, we will certainly see that this the right track is truly correct track, that it will all be filled with light all right. Seems like here we have stopped. Well, continuing the scrutiny of David's this first faith that a person needs to work in the beginning is that work above reason, and continuing that when he writes that he's rewarded with complete faith, does he know the Creator? Then you're not using the words that he is writing with in order to reach complete faith. It's as if you've been rewarded with something that becomes your knowledge in feeling meaning. I'm speaking from the scrutinies that I'm making, and I'm trying, like David said. How do I continue in the work? Because I need here a certain faith as we constantly try to scrutinize and to reach a state of knowledge of the Creator, because only then is it a correct thing. I don't know if within myself, like David, whether I'm working correctly or incorrectly. The scrutiny here, whether it's going in the correct direction or not, that's the state where I really identified with David. He really spoke with my words. Okay, so you don't know any others like that? Are there more people who say they don't understand? No. No, do. No. No, okay. Yes, yes, say it to differentiate between these different concepts of faith, and I know that there's also different concepts of light. There's light that comes only they have to complete faith, and we need to start from some place. And it's also clear to me that if I'm afraid of the portion of death, and I won't do anything, so I won't reach anything, so I need to go through that portion of death at some place. So seemingly what I can do is to read Rabash, and you have to read a lot. That's true, but not that it will help you in the meantime, but over time it will have an effect, and then you can somehow stabilize yourself. Okay. No. Well, concept of faith really, on one hand, it's the most important, as he says, but it's also very vague to understand fully. So another question here to add to the scrutiny, he says here that the faith is how much you rely on someone who gives you alone. How is that explanation of the faith go together with that? And we need to, with faith being bestowed, that we need to be in bestow. I don't know, he hasn't touched all the points yet, and here he gave about 3 or 4 explanations of what is faith and the reality of the Creator and the force of faith, meaning that on one hand it's the most important thing, and it's unclear what it means. What do we do with that? What do? We wait patiently. What can we do? Anyone who's trying to cut short the explanations here and try to make some opening towards some quick attainment, that's not going to be successful. Okay, so other questions: difference between faith in the Creator and adhesion with the Creator, two different things. What does it mean to believe in reward and punishment in working? That we can make actions of reward and punishment and see how it affects our spiritual state. How do we know that we've been rewarded with faith in the Creator? Does a person know that? What does a person need to search for? An internal way in the work. That's where he begins to open before me the way I feel it all of Tess. Work in connection and in love of friends. Does it protect us from the person of death? Yes, it's like insurance where we don't need anything else just to engage in that. Yes, and in relation to the expectation for reward, what is the scrutiny that a person needs to do who is in the study and checking the reward? What reward is he expecting? Well, he has to scrutinize what he's expecting. Where will the reward come from, and when, and so forth. There is one paragraph where he writes that it depends on the extent of His faith in our and punishment whereof he believes that the reward and punishment that is great, that the reward is great, should he be believing in that. If he believes that the reward is great, so then he'll be able to give all the exertion he needs to give. Is that how it works, or the other way around? Doesn't matter, but what you say. We're going to study this soon. What's the difference between complete faith and is the complete faith and faith that is? He gives us a definition that a person is willing to settle for whatever shines on him, even just some part of the toe that shines on him, and that's it. 'Cause he writes that those who have been rewarded with complete faith, then their engagement will bring them the light that forms. So faith is more complete. Faith is completely Lishmer. So can you explain that in where item 13 below, when I've been rewarded with item 13? Wait, those who are no, item 13, the last paragraph, the beginning of the last paragraph, item 13. No, I can't even go back to that. I will read it. You don't have it in your file because it's what we read yesterday. It starts with the words, but those who were imparted complete faith are guaranteed, in the words of our sages, that because they engage in the Torah, even Lishma, the light in it reforms them, they will be imparted the Torah, the which brings a happy and good life in this world and in the next world, even without the prior affliction and sorrowful life. It is said about them that the verse says, then shall you delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride upon the high places of the earth. However, the next sentence is item 14. No 15-second paragraph yet. Those without faith are as bats, they cannot look at the light of the day, because the daylight has been inverted for them to a more terrible darkness than the darkness of the night, as they are only fed in the darkness of their night. How could there be such a thing? Yes, likewise the eyes of the faithless are blinded to the light of the Creator, hence the light becomes darkness for them, and the potion of life is turned into a pew of death for them. It is about them that the writing says, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Thus first one must make one's faith complete. So again we've returned to complete faith. He even says that if you have complete faith, so then there's a chance that you'll shift from to can. Where was that at the end of ADM 13? What you don't have in your fire, I don't have that, so I don't understand. So you need to maybe transition from how does that work out. Make a jump and accept that and acquire that. Okay, I'll try. That's it, no more to add. So another, you need to explore another question in relation to doubts. He says here also that one who has doubts will not be rewarded with the light. Yes, but our whole path is full of doubts. So how do we work with that? I don't think that in your case it comes from lack of knowledge. Rather, doubts come from the state itself, where you are, and if you were certain to dwell on the right material which you study and scrutinize and reveal it correctly, then you would have no doubts. So does that depend on the material we study? Yes, okay. Yes, can. Yes, touched on my point earlier. I wanted to ask you, you said that you need to pay attention to the light that we attract. What does it mean to pay attention to the light in the work? It seems that it's something very important in our path in the work. So what is it to pay attention to the light? That it's the light that reforms. As he himself writes, what do I need to pay attention to? The changes in me. Yes, of course, to the relation between us with the friends, everything. It is my observation from my mind towards all reality in front of me. So it's my individual work toward the friends, and then through them to the Creator. I'm always is working in that place. And how do I work with that, and that the light's not working? Or how do I make a conclusion as to whether I'm working in the correct place? You probably have to ask and clarify, why are you standing in place? Each day is a new day. That's what we always say to ourselves. Each day we make a new day. Each day we always need to give overcoming and effort. And that effort is what draws the light, and each time we reveal changes in ourselves, so we also read these excerpts. And tomorrow I'll read these excerpts and I'll see them maybe differently because the light's acting on me, of course, because every time you're in a different form. So where's the point to you where you say to yourself, I have reached plea, faith? No, there's not no such thing. So far, so how can apply self-criticism so that everything that I see in the friends, it's really what I need to receive from the Creator, how on every point every day anew I find myself in the correct place toward the friend, toward the Creator. Before the friends don't ask me, I don't have an answer. Hey? Yes, also in letter 15 he says that those who lack faith, their eyes are blinded by the light of their Creator. He says that they are like bats. So the whole matter here is faith. The question is if there a way to know if one has faith or not. He has the ability to know, and he has the ability to measure even what level or power of faith exists in him, and he needs to demand that what the most clearest way before our eyes to measure that's result. I want to know if I have faith. Faith is the consequence of the light that fills the person, and to the extent that a person feels how the light fulfills him, to that extent he feels that he is inside the faith. So the light is the measure if I have faith or not. That too, yeah. And how do I know the light filled me? It's like an inner feeling. It's an inner feeling, and we have to get to know this light that reforms, and that we can be in that inside the light. I don't know how to complete this sentence, so we say that also the wisdom of explain that the Creator is concealed, and you have no one to work with, only with the friends. That's your indication if you want to check your relation to the Creator. So see how you relating to the friends, and it's the same. Yes, so that light that reforms is that when my attitude towards a friend's inverts, and that's how I know the light worked on me. Or is it something else? Signs. Yes, more. Yeah, don't be shy. Whatever he wants. Yes, you have complete faith is felt that it's like a process of perception of reality till it's whole. So a person understands reality is whole. So in this process, the process of seeing what strengthens or changes until it becomes whole. Again, this process that eventually is called complete faith. Yes, that's felt as a process of perception and the way a person sees reality till he sees it in a complete way. Yes, so in this process of this observation, what strengthens and changes until it's called complete. If we want to feel this process till a person starts seeing reality in such a way, person begins more and more his vessels, his desires to receive, and if his vessels, his desires to receive, are if they can receive in order to bestow, then according to the extent in which they can receive in order to bestow, that's the extent in which he will advance in order to bear. Does that mean that the goal and intention is to give contentment to the Creator, to bestow? Yes, in order to bestow, if I want to depict what it is to give him contentment, what should my intent be? What do I want to want? What do you want to want? You want to want everything the Creator sends to you, everything he puts through you, everything he puts through me. What do I want to do with it? He wants to be immersed in this, to be made of it, and this is what needs to be given to you. This is what should give you satisfaction from all of creation. That I'm a part of it, that I'm a partner. Yes, and so on and so forth. I have a means called a tent, the beginning of the spiritual reality. There's this thing called a tent. What do I do with it? To be part of this, a partner in this. Where's the 10 rule in this process? You receive these vessels with which you were created. You were born, and with them you want to implement, realize your attitude to the sources, the spiritual sources, and then you start to work with them. How do I connect the friends in the T to something called spiritual Creator sources? What's in them? How do I start grasping, start connecting my friends in the 10 with my friends in the spiritual vessel? Only under the condition that I can spring light that spreads in my vessels of the, and the light which spreads in the vessels of I don't know how to say it. I don't know in the end of the day it reaches an equal value where I relate to my 10, and I'm in my spiritual vessel in one way and cannot divide them into several parts, but where I'm not capable to divide them and to depict them as I and with them to such an extent together, then I cancel my perception of it and my grip of it, and altogether the whole thing. I don't yet know how to explain this to you in a clear manner. You said something, I'll think about it. Thank you. You told Job, the friend of my, that you have to take the light that expands through your organs, the light that reforms, and draw it towards the friends in the tent. How does that action? How can I do it in a way that the light I give to the friends will be as a remedy for connection, for extra connection, and not as a blow, because that's what I received from above into my plea, and I have nothing else to tempt the Creator with. What do I concentrate on? So it will be for the benefit of the 10 what I'm doing, and what can I hold on to make sure that I'm not harming them, not choking them, not sinking them, but feeding them. Will learn that. Thank you. Yes, I have this question for a long time already. We need to reach giving contentment to the Creator, or at least want to give Him contentment when I pray to the friends for the connection, for my corrections, or just asking for forces of faith. Do I need to want it in order to give Him joy? Check yourself. It seems that should be the reason for my prayer of why I need the connection and faith, but it's the most difficult to want to give the Creator joy, because there's nothing to grasp there. And what next? I don't know. I have to pray in order to reach a state where I give joy to the Creator, and there's no the desire to give Him joy. There's no grasp in it. So then it turns out that there's like a wall. So what do I need faith for? That is something that we're going to scrutinize. For that we have equivalence of form. I'll try again eventually. Also now, in this state, I need to hold an intention that it's also for Him to enjoy our connection. Has come my correction well for the time being. That's all still like a game. It's not realistic, yet it's not human. Well, no wonder wants to ask. We learned that attaining spirituality, it has 2 stages. From love of the others we're building the first degree, and from it on the second degree we can rise above it. So in the stage where we don't have the attainment of the force faith, yet if all our work is by the work, the force of commitment towards the friends, all these things do they compensate the force of faith? What is compensating instead of it, instead of the force of faith? Because we don't have it, the faith that lets us go through all these stages. It's your force of faith. You cover us all, you connect us all the deficiencies of the friends. I like you. I can absorb the questions from the friends. It comes from all kinds of directions, but you sit and you help us consent together in the same direction. So your force gives us the opportunity, seemingly well. So I'm asking our effort. So what we're left with is just to spare and pray. There's nothing left. That's what lets us reach the light, that reform. Yes, so to reach the Kriyat, least that's how He explains it to us. More and more. Thank you. All right. 4:30 today. The friends asked that we study tests part 6, so we wanted to start reading it a bit together after all the introduction to tests we're learning. So we can also do that now if you think it's right. It's not important to me as long as you are aimed towards this and you're ready to it and you want to scrutinize it. Yes, I think so. The friends will then. Okay, let's do it. I won't let you ask the moment we started the lesson. You with your hand up. What is this? Is that the form that you should be in? Next to number 3. Yes. 3 in the beginning. A was thus in the first 3 are a s for its half and below, which are the in. It this sag was clothed from of and below, within, and all this is the internality of a self lights and vessels. Next number 4. Afterward it elicited the exterior phases to clothe. At first it elicited lights from the general inner, which is the of, surrounding it from the outside up to the and up to the. Afterward it elicited the of the z, that are extended from the general s, called nick, from which the general 3 in it were made, onwards. 5 First the tastes of s were extended, which is through its. Afterwards it did not bring out the rest of the phases, since they clothed inside mb as the lights of the general ab, of which only the that are extended from the of the general became revealed. The rest of them are concealed inside the general sug. Then it wanted to bring the externality of the inner mar and bone in it outwards, and then all the fez of the inner sg concealed in the inner mar and bone ascended, and the inner mar and bone ascended along with them. Then these mar and bi there man to the tastes of sag themselves, which are not closed inside mar. They are in the role of aba, to as upper made a coupling for, and it are incorporated with them. So it is that the tastes of sag make a coupling with all of ab. Moreover, the dots, tags and letters of sag connect with them and became subordinate to them. Consequently they do not bear a name like the above mentioned. Then they engender the phase of born of externality and their garment outwardly. Thus the female was now born first. Nice, what's nice? Love, look how he's explaining this to you one to one. He's not leaving anything out. And well, where do you want me to read it? I see it in to continue item 2 even. One moment, let me get there. Where are you? The file is a bit different here. So the end of 1, the end of 1, yeah, mhm. What is it speaking about in general? Part 6, because the headline was 10 of the world of it. Yes, so what does he focus on in this part? So, as usual, he goes according to the order. He goes in order. If we were to take all the books that were written about the expansion of the lights, we would have one big confusion. Specifically, Bassam did good as he organized it somewhat. That's it. So what is he saying? And from tab of the of s meaning zone of that is the 10 of n, which are considered mar and b of this, and they are in comparison with the zone of which clothe the, and also from tarbo below. And the thing is that these matters will be clarified in the near future. So that's what he wants altogether to add for us. Item 2, where are you in this? Words. Item 2, I'm reading that now. We need to start reading, so I'm asking the words of the yes, the words of the number 2 as it is in its intonality. So it is in the lights that emerge from it, which are branches. The of are opposite the branches of, and the of are from the opposite. The branches of s are included in them, and between the two of them they took of after the correction, which is the name sag, which contains both of them, and they are incorporated in ma of study it thoroughly, for so it is there. But then sag still expanded. Yes, should I read the inner light now? I read number 2, the words of the well. Then why did you stop here? Specifically, 'cause the item ended, and I don't know when you want me to continue. First, we read all the words of the we read a few items. Yes, should we go through the inner light now? It would be desirable. So should we start from number 1, the words of the, and then in light of this part? Yes. Okay, so number 1, and then the inner light. Yes, so again we're starting from the top. Part 6, 10 of the world of number 1. The words of the contains abhin itself. Each of these 4 incorporates from all 4, and lights emerge from it, which are its branches. The is in its opposite, and above it g contains a model of the phase of, and it s from the ozen down to its ta opposite, and its and b are from its down opposite zone of. Now internal number 1. Do you understand where we are? Because I'm looking at some people's eyes, and they're kind of like as if they the world of n. Yes, okay, so come on in. Light number 1 relates to the words. Contains this study that I've begun with. Is the most profound of all the lessons regarding the world of, and should have been presented at the end of the part. Indeed, in this study they gave us the key, by which he explains all the future issues before us in the hence the reader must know and remember it well before examining the concepts themselves. First we must know which of the refers to, as we know that there are 5. However, there has already notified us that in the first 2 of, namely, and we have no permission, speak, the study begins only in which is from the face of on down, meaning its level up, as of they is called, that teaches us that the speaks of and all the matters and details elicited before us revolve only around that. He says that it contains a B in itself, which are 4 levels that emerge over the above 4 phases. These are phase 3, which draws the level of phase 2, which draws a level of called, phase 1, which draws the level of called of, and the level of called. Each of them contains all 4, as he explains. Henceforth is it clear thus far who doesn't understand, there's no shame here, because it's so. Maybe it's hard for us to understand his language. Kin. Yes, my, what is it that you want to ask? You asked who doesn't understand, so I left my hand. I feel like I'm in the entrance to Rabbi Shimon's cave, and I'm like the cat that looks up and sees a conversation. If he were a cat in the society of Rabbi Shimon, but I'm outside the cave and I feel that there's a conversation about the most exalted things in the world, and I don't know how to. It's like a completely different world. How do I even belong? You belong to them because it's the Creator wanted that way. That's it. Without questions or answers, without your philosophies as well. Yes, when Enon read, and he didn't know where to continue, he asked you and you said okay, because that's how you usually do whatever we ask. You used to doing that way and only for the intention, and I don't want to move anything. I just want to clarify at the end of the introduction of the study of there's the order of the. He writes this way, I know, don't keep going. He says even if we don't understand, we didn't learn that with Arsh and also alone in any way, we just simply keep going like it's written here. Thank you. You. Yes, why is it called bore in the world of Nikim, and in the world of it's called sun? Does somebody have an answer? No, neither do I. Not important. I want to ask about the world self that he mentioned several times. Is this lights, vessels and self? Is if there's 3 things, can R explain what that is? Self, lights and vessels. It's the upper part of the light of then needs to shine to our vessels. That's called the self atat. It's still part of the light that we can't grasp. We don't discover it, yet it blinds us. Yes, he emphasizes in these words that we read the importance of this part. He says there's like a key here, etc. And if I understand correctly this part, it's also written to me that he's talking about the SAG. Yes, right, and about a specific part of the which is below the that's. What's he calling what he's calling? Yeah. So he started by saying that in the first 2 we have no permission to talk about. Why? Because there still aren't vessels there. Who doesn't have vessels? What does it mean that a part doesn't have vessels? I don't know. That's how it's called. Okay, maybe I'll ask it differ. We begin only in the S, which is as far as the ozone and below. Yes, so what is that? Engagement. That on that P we can research it, talk about it, and we have grasping points in it, but above it. No, I'm trying to understand what is these gripping points. I understand. There's a line, there's a taboo, there's parts above it, below it, so continue that way, and whatever you get we'll see later on. I'm trying to understand what does it mean to engage in this. What's the difference between the pirates? I can't do any other than you either until there's attainment. I was impressed by or in reading it, and you said nice, as if someone's being impressed by nice. Yeah, I didn't even hear the music, not just the beauty. Well, what can we do? You're an engineer. Okay, so as long as I'm at least an engineer, then what does it mean to engage in it? What is it that you want to understand this book, and what's written in it? What's the correct engagement in it? When we're sitting now and reading it, if you keep pressing on me, it won't help. You see, 'cause I don't What as if I know how to do what you're saying and simply asking are because we kind of do right into the middle of it. And we then jump into the middle. This is a beginning. Can you explain why this is the beginning? It says part 2 part 6. What is the beginning here? Actually, the beginning of this business learning about internality and externality of that's the beginning. In what manner? Because that's where you can come to a level of feeling, or no, not a feeling yet. So why is it the beginning? Actually, cause there we have some kind of grasp that we can connect between the lights, vessels, all the expansion between lights and vessels that brings us the wisdom of Kabbalah, brings us the beginning of this topic. When you say to connect, but we don't feel it, it's just with our intellect for the time being. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand, because also in the previous one could just describe in our mind only. So what's the difference between what's depicted in our intellect above tab and what we're describing right now? It's not simple. Eventually we might get there, but can say only one thing there. You can turn and around, and you'll get nothing from it. But here you have to be very cautious with what you're working with, because your vessels are already connected to the lights. When you say be very cautious, let's say before we read about a bath in the rooster, is it that kind of a thing? And last question, when we were worried about the words in the AR where it says understand well, or what does it mean to understand well for someone who doesn't understand, so you understand better than you did before? Look what he res, you need to agree with the style he writes, and that's it. Find here. Welcome. Who's the reader? Hear me, you please. Lights emerge from it, which are its branches. We're continuing with the inner light of item 1, and this is following the sentence from the every light emerge from it, which are its branches. They're called, or the hair of the head, Anna, which is the hair of the beard, which are emanated from this of Sagov. Indeed, know that everything said here is but roots to the elements that exist in the world. Awful, and although they are not actually here, they are nonetheless rooted here. Who is in it's here? We must remember, I think there's a typo in the Hebrew here. We must remember everything that's been explained regarding the emanation of the first 3 part of very briefly explained in the AR words. In part 5 he calls the first part of the first expansion, he calls the second expansion, and the SAG he calls it the second phase of the second expansion. We must generally remember all the words brought by the there and everything explained therein. Inner light, for I will not repeat anything here, only use the names you already know, that every lower one clothes its upper one only from the P down, meaning from the place where it was rooted and where it emerged, which is of its upper one, from which the lower one emerges and is emanated. Hence the KT the of S, which is called own, because the light of being called own clothes the vessel of K, clothes its upper gart called AB from there down. Know that this goof of ab clothed in the of Sag becomes R, and to the S it is written the ab is in its opposite, and of since the goof of ab clothed in the Sag are as to the of Sag. Can I ask? Yes, where it says in the last paragraph that we read, it says no, that every lower one close its upper one only from the pit down, meaning from the place where it was rooted and where it emerged. Yes, what does this principle say? That's how time expand, that whatever comes out after the upper one expands upon the upper one from its pen downward. Yes, what can you learn about that from that? About the connection with the lower one with the upper one, that in the of the upper one there's always a connection between upper and lower. And what is the pay of the upper one? That's the screen in the upper one, and the lower one can connect to it. That's where it's born from. What does it mean that was born from there? Meaning that from there he has a possibility to. We still have to scrutinize what's there, but it was born from there. All its records all come from its upper one. Okay, I want to Ask also light emerge outwards, which are its branches, which are called the. And this is the specific to the s. No, every has of its own. There are many types of them. Okay, thank you. When we talk about who's the one in this stormy state, the upper one or the low one, usually the lower one, probably because he wants to attain more vessels in order to clothe on the upper one, but he can't. He's limited. So whenever we talk about, we're talking about the lower one. Well, let's say in most cases. What more? Yeah, he writes that the goof of the upper one becomes the and of the lower one. Yeah, they're usually different. The upper one, the lower, they're usually opposite. So how does this work out? Because if the upper one is opposite the lower one, how does it become at the lower one? Here it means that it's an inner, that from it the lower is rooted, but the goof of the upper one is desire. It's not even intention, it's actual desire. It's the implementation of the desire. Yek, and let's say in yes, which is the upper tamal, so z, which has a desire to bestow, and which has no desire for bestowing. How can sin be to it if they're not the same thing in any way? I don't know, maybe it's hard for me to explain it now, but that's how it turns out. That's how it turns out. What do you want to say? Nothing. Okay, no. Well, can I ask a general question about reading? Sind. Ask, is there a difference how the reforming light appears when we read and we don't understand, or when we read and do understand, and when we read and try to understand what's written? We need to try and find sources where B writes also used to explain it in the beginning of his part, maybe also part 6. How we need to read part 6, yeah. But the question is, how does the reforming light appear when we read and understand or don't understand? Is there a difference? There's a difference, but it's still not necessary right now that we stand on this point, because we won't be able to advance. Thank you all. Right. Yet to principle which were each lower one close to the upper one only from its hit. That means that the lower one will never attain what the upper one has in it. He also said that the upper one is connected to its upper one as well, that the was of sag is connected to AB. Why does he call that form of connection clothing? You can see in the drawings of the that cloth on one another. The fact that the lower one emerges from the upper one you can somewhat understand, but clothing, meaning the clothing of the lower one as well, has like a row or roll for the towards the upper one. Of course he does, meaning what makes it the upper one is that it has a lower one that it can clothe in, otherwise it wouldn't become an upper one. Well, there's different definitions. What more? No. Well, is the quality of being a yes, yeah, and he wants to resemble the kettle to be a bestower like the. Is that correct? It's hard to say. First of all, he wants to be. The nature of beiner is to bestow, so all that we learn is actually how the implementation of ball is in practice, meaning how we create a vessel outside so it will be able to bestow to it. Give me an example. The example is a mother and her child. No, that's not from the wisdom of Kabbalah. So what example can I give? I don't know, so I'm asking how. I do not know what you want to ask exactly. What are we learning? We're learning how the lights through there, and what how is that connected to us, whether it's connected or not. Maybe we'll know in the next page. Is it correct to want to come closer to this, to those things, or also could be yes? So again, I'm asking the how to bring it closer, how to come closer to what we're reading. I don't know how to say it. The fact that I tell you that myself, I don't know that'll be true. I'm not lying. The fact that the more we ask, we'll scrutinize more, that's also true. And what you're asking now, I don't know how to answer. Can I say, can I try nevertheless? Try, you try and answer. To answer, I can't, but I understand that it's connected to a element, and I see this inability to nullify this deficiency formant will help us come closer to what we're learning. There I also don't know you. There I don't know. See, I don't know how to express myself. You can ask many more times in tests and you'll hear me saying the same thing, and I'm not exaggerating. I do not know To thank you are. You want to answer, I don't have to answer, but can we say in general answer can we say in general that we're learning how Bina is incorporated in Mal in order to correct her, that's the part. Okay, well, can you say it that we let's say so, okay. And I simply want to quote, and from it also the lights emerge outwards, which are its branches, which are called the and which are emanated from there, of which is written before us, and understand that all that's written here are only talking about the root to the elements that exist in the world. Of as much as I understand, we're talking here about the power of Sag, of which is actually the root and includes everything, because from it later everything develops. And he says that, well, what the question is, say these S that he's talking about, which come, which or go outward, how are they in relation to the world? Of what are these like of the world? These are lights that are filling, then the lights that expand from time where the them take place, and the lights that expand in those, that's how they come out and clothe upon those, and this belongs to what world we'll see later. Now the sixth part is called the 10 of the world. Start with Sag, and right away he gives some adaptation towards, so Nicodem is in the middle. What is the world? Nicodem in all this exists in the middle, we can say, between the world of to the worlds, the lower ones, or what came before even. Let's see. Thank you. What do you want?